One of the most well-known and renowned Stoic thinkers of all time is Marcus Aurelius. From 161 to 188, he ruled Rome as Emperor of Rome. He was the last of a sequence of emperors that became known as the Five Excellent Emperors. At the time, he had one of the greatest positions of authority in the world, and should he so choose, he could have any temptation or desire fulfilled. Rather, he committed his life to justice and fairness. Aurelius managed to find time throughout his reign to compose a collection of autobiographical pieces that are now referred to as the Meditations. These works have grown to be among the most significant in the field of Stoic philosophy. Aurelius provides instructions on self-improvement in the Meditations. These were mostly concerned with adopting a cosmic viewpoint and critically examining yourself and other evaluation. As the head of a strong empire that saw several conflicts while he was in charge, Aurelius used his own Stoic philosophy to overcome anxiety and tension and become the most capable and trustworthy leader he could be. In addition to being a theory, the age-old and well-known philosophy of Stoicism is also a very motivating way of thinking and living. The Stoics held the firm belief that acting morally was the path to personal fulfillment, and that acting morally required good judgment and logical thought. In light of this, we will discuss in this video how to cultivate a logical mind by going over 5 key concepts from Marcus Aurelius' teachings that will enable you to think more clearly. Please verify your channel subscription before moving on. It is crucial that you have a subscription. To help us and motivate us to create more films, click the Become a Member button. Develop your perception. According to Marcus Aurelius, select not to be hurt, and you will not experience harm. You haven't been hurt, therefore don't feel that way. Taking charge of your perspective is among the most important lessons to be learned from Stoicism. We are used to assigning values to everything we encounter, including individuals we meet, events we attend, and scenery we see. Something was either beautiful, ugly, dull, enjoyable, or awful. We are unaware that this is a very draining habit that might negatively impact our life. For instance, seeing every encounter you have on an especially difficult day as terrible casts even more negative light on the day. A party you attended will only be that one dull moment in your week, if you call it that. We often allow our emotions to color our early assessments of things, so it's possible that they're not totally logical. Moreover, using metaphors and exaggerations to make things appear worse goes hand in hand with our inclination to criticize every aspect of our life. If your lover breaks up with you, you may claim that your ex shattered your heart, rather than the obvious reality that they no longer have the same feelings for you. Your feelings are shaped by the way you think, or rather, the way you communicate. The thing that makes you feel horrible is not the incident itself, but rather the thoughts you unintentionally give it. On the other hand, the Stoics advise not passing judgment on anybody or anything, even yourself. Undoing your judgments is one method to exercise caution. It basically means seeing beyond them. The capacity to set aside your gut feeling and see a situation more sensibly and optimistically. Try to reframe that dull party in your memory as an opportunity to explore a different location and get to know some new people. Please, try not to pass judgment on others. You may discover later on that you didn't truly connect with anybody, but you didn't enter expecting to be rejected either. The greatest method to begin molding your perspective on life is to practice not judging anything based on your gut feeling or first feelings. Whenever you have an opinionated thought on something, try to ask yourself, is this rational? What is the foundation of my opinion? Is there a more accurate or optimistic interpretation of this? Marcus Aurelius emphasized that anything can only be harmful if you think of it as such. This implies that the harder and worse you think a hard experience is, the harder and worse it looks to have been. As a result, you are fully in charge of how much any given circumstance affects you. The Stoics also exhort you to look at every setback as a chance or a source of good. One technique to practice maintaining a Stoic viewpoint is to take on the task of turning the obstacle upside down. You may get frustrated if a new employee is a slow learner and their errors have an impact on the company's bottom line. What you are attempting to accomplish, profit, efficiency, and effectiveness, is hampered by this teammate. This circumstance, nevertheless, may also provide a positive chance. It's a chance for you to learn and practice patience, improve as a teacher, assimilate new employees into the team, and manage tense situations. These are all abilities that will come in handy down the road and ought to contribute to your long-term financial success. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What stands in the way becomes the way. The impediment to action advances action," in reference to this topic. Overall, you may discover that life is easier and clearer than you first believed if you take the time to see things objectively, rather than making hasty judgments about everything you encounter. Every circumstance may be interpreted in two ways, positively and negatively. You will discover that nothing annoys you as much as it once did, and that getting through life is much easier when you change your thinking in this way. Gain easy emotional control as well. Acquire emotional self-control. Stop allowing your emotions to overpower what your head tells you, warns Marcus Aurelius. Give up being prickly, self-centered, and hypocritical. It seems sense because behaving irrationally contrasts sharply with acting emotionally, as is often shown. Nothing is more likely to impair our judgment than our feelings. Controlling your emotions is thus one of the most crucial abilities to have if you want to be able to think properly at all times. Marcus Aurelius believed that feeling angry in particular does more damage than good. Controlling your emotions does not include repressing them, despite what many people appear to believe or attempt to believe. You cannot manage your great anger at being betrayed if you try to hide it from yourself or other people, or if you try to act like everything is okay. No matter how far you dig, it will still be there. The Stoics believe that emotion redirection is a more effective means of managing strong emotions like rage. Thus, consider what you can do with your anger the next time it arises. It may be tempting to yell at the person who wronged you, but will doing so make things better or less painful for you? Will it make the person who deceived you better? To put it simply, consider what you are tempted to do, and then determine if it is beneficial. If not, discover constructive means of expressing your feelings, perhaps by having a calm conversation with the person who wounded you, expressing your thoughts, and making an effort to understand them. You might get better outcomes. You may also write in a notebook, work out, lose yourself in a video game, or do anything else that might assist you in letting go of your anger. After that, consider fear or worry as another example. Though you can't just shove it down, you can reroute it. Rather of allowing worry to overcome you, you may push yourself, do the things that cause it, and be aware of it all along the way. Suppose you're too afraid to request a raise from your employer. Many individuals use this kind of dread as an excuse to put off taking action, allowing their fears to stop them. Some people may be able to deal with it and see their anxiety as something that must be suppressed and disregarded since it is getting in the way. However, none of these have to be true. Rather, you may communicate your fear in a healthy way, and it could even out to be beneficial. For example, this dread causes you to contemplate all the potential outcomes, including all the questions your employer may ask and all the rebuttals you might get. In this manner, you may prepare for them and make plans for any eventuality. Above all, however, fear serves as a powerful motivator to face your fears head-on and develop as a person. It shows you that you can overcome your fears and take the step, not in spite of them, but in part because of them. And in that case, you may say, "How awesome that I'm trying this anyway," while also being conscious of your fear throughout. Your ability to control your powerful emotions will allow you to remain composed in any situation and ensure that your feelings never interfere with your capacity to reason and make wise choices. The secret to living a more serene existence is emotional self-control. Practice using the control dichotomy. The mind uses the control dichotomy. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have control over your mind, not external events." When you acknowledge this, you'll discover resilience. The difference between what we can and cannot control is known as the control dilemma. For instance, you have no control over the weather, traffic, or people's opinions of you. You do, however, have choice over your attire, your departure time, and the individuals you choose to spend time with. Therefore, always ask yourself, what can I control? When faced with a scenario that makes you feel a certain way, there's a reason to act on anything you can control. You should learn to accept and embrace anything that is beyond your control so that it doesn't impact you. Your mind may be instantaneously cleared by learning to differentiate between these two things and acting appropriately. Amor fati, or the love of destiny, is a crucial component of the dichotomy of control. You will always enjoy life when you accept it and all the situations it presents. You can't change destiny or uncontrollably occurring situations, but you can choose to enjoy your life regardless of what happens. You may believe there is no hope for atonement if you are turned down for a job you have been applying for years. You attempted for the position, but were unsuccessful. In such a situation, you could not reasonably profess to love destiny. But this is a miscommunication. Rather of seeing the fact that you didn't achieve your goal as a solely bad thing, look into what went wrong and utilize that information to your advantage. Either you failed to meet the requirements for the position, in which case you have control over the situation. When another chance like that arises in the future, you may address those shortcomings and give it another go. Alternatively, the cause was an outside circumstance, such as nepotism or a personality conflict with an employee of the recruiting company. Since you had no influence over this, the chance never really existed. There's no sense in getting worked up over something that never was. Accepting destiny is stepping back from external success indicators and from a predetermined conclusion. If your goal is to become a writer, for instance, and you gauge your success by how many copies your book sells, you will let the current arbitrary book market to dictate how successful you are. You do, however, have power over your success if you decide to gauge it by how happy you are with the outcome or how much effort you put into it. Therefore, by all means, be sure to exert every effort to attempt to accomplish your objectives. Nevertheless, never lose sight of the chance that you may not succeed and acknowledge this possibility beforehand. One will find oneself peaceful, no matter what occurs, if they limit their attention to what they can manage and make the commitment to accept anything that doesn't turn out exactly as it is. Accept the good traits. 4. Adopt the qualities. According to Marcus Aurelius, delve deep within yourself, for a wellspring of goodness is ready to gush forth if you persist in your quest. An excellence of character, or to put it more simply, morally upright action, might be considered a virtue. Engaging in such conduct serves the larger good in addition to being advantageous to you and people around you. The concept of an interconnected cosmos in which everything and everyone is related is one that Stoicism accepts. So you finally gain from what is excellent for the larger good. Therefore, the Stoics were certain that individuals who committed their lives to the greater good were the ones who were most in line with reason. Stated differently, they lived out virtues. On the other hand, ignorance is the cause of the lack of virtue among the Stoics. Virtues may be your compass when life throws you into unexpected situations. They can keep you grounded and on the correct track. For this reason, those who are best endowed with virtue often exude peace and poise. One must absorb the 4 Stoic cardinal virtues: wisdom, justice, temperance, and courage, in order to exemplify virtue. According to the Stoic viewpoint, wisdom is the capacity to discriminate between what is good, what is harmful, and everything in between. It is allowing reason to take precedence over emotions and determine what is ethically right. When faced with a difficult decision, knowledge enables you to weigh both choices objectively. Justice follows. Justice is based on wisdom, which is a dedication to doing what is just and fair for oneself as well as others. According to the Stoics, it is a responsibility one has to oneself, other people, and society. The 3rd virtue, courage, gives one the ability to act despite their own dread. It motivates you to take action for the greater good or to start projects even when you are unsure of the results. Instead of eliminating desire, fear, or worry, courage is the deliberate choice to go on and overcome emotional obstacles. Finally, temperance, also referred to as moderation, means staying on a road that is balanced between extremes. It involves practicing discipline, self-control, and constraint. Marcus Aurelius emphasized how humans differ from animals in that we are able to exercise self-control. Temperance puts the long-term welfare of oneself ahead of momentary pleasure. Take a simple example, like a bag of chips. While eating the full bag could provide a brief rush of pleasure, doing so puts one's health and even emotions at risk. In this case, being temperate is stopping after a few nibbles. The ability to discern the appropriate quantity to drink before quitting is crucial. Stoicism divides the world and human behavior into 3 categories: good, evil, and indifference. Its tenets were to pursue the good, shun evil, and embrace indifference in accordance with one's own preferences. Those who abandoned these virtues, theft, disdain, carelessness, or refraining from kind, neutral activities like taking a leisurely walk, were encouraging evil. didn't do either. These ideas have benefits beyond improved personal well-being. Aligning your activities with these characteristics guarantees that you constantly walk the road of justice, led by reason, and thus develop a peaceful mind. They also help you achieve a condition of placid serenity. Take a more expansive view. 5. Adopt a more expansive viewpoint. Marcus Aurelius elegantly mirrors Plato's insight in the phrase that serves as our conclusion. It's always ideal to adopt a bird's-eye perspective and see everything at once while discussing individuals. Developing a broad perspective is a very important part of reaching mental clarity. In the rush of life, we often find ourselves enmeshed in every problem, each one seeming to be the weight of the whole universe. Consider yourself a member of a little group. Sometimes the traffic seems to be choking the whole city. However, moving your point of view a little distance away might show you a completely different world. Essentially, we become aware of how little our individual experiences are and how tiny we are in the larger scheme of things when we step back and consider the immense tapestry of our universe and life. This change in viewpoint reveals the vast world that lies beyond our direct experience. People often fail to see that there are other experiences and perspectives that should be taken into account, even within their own lives. Think about a person who has had a bad encounter with pets. If they don't intentionally recognize that different people may have different experiences, they may find it difficult to understand that dogs might be loved companions to others. Occasionally, it's necessary to take a step back and ask yourself, what am I missing or not understanding? There are many advantages to this reflective exercise. Imagine, for example, that you had to decide whether to stay in your present employment or apply for a newly opened position elsewhere. Making such a choice might feel overwhelming, particularly if you're not sure which path would best serve your goals. Even if you're cautious about taking on more duties with a promotion since your existing employment provides security, the draw of a higher pay is irresistible. You may feel trapped in this situation. Nonetheless, there are a lot of unrealized opportunities underneath the surface. Have you thought of going into a field all by yourself or looking into a side project that might be a good addition to your present work? Taking up a hobby might help you divert your attention from less interesting work. It's very possible that you are missing out on a lot of opportunities in life. Making educated decisions is greatly aided by taking a broad view rather than focusing just on pressing issues. Extending your range is beneficial not just for establishing priorities, but also for molding your thoughts into a thorough assessment. It is essential to take into account every aspect and possibility in a certain circumstance. Furthermore, taking a step back means separating yourself from your own prejudices and opinions. Giving up your wishes for a while might provide you with a new perspective and make you consider the people in your life and the obligations you have to them. In the heat of the moment, you may think that something as little as trash doesn't matter. Still, when you stop and look around at the whole globe and what would happen if everyone started doing the same, you realize how little your tendency to litter matters compared to the health of the earth. As was previously shown, the Stoic believed that everything in the world is interrelated, and that improving the world as a whole inevitably improves an individual's quality of life. Therefore, it is really important to stand back and adopt a worldview instead of concentrating just on your own life. When faced with a choice, hardship, obstacle, or significant life transition, you possess the ability to ask yourself reflective questions, either at that instant or later, while taking a stroll outside or engaging in a contemplative journaling session, an activity that Marcus Aurelius especially recommended. You may learn more about your ideas and behaviors by answering these questions. You may believe that littering is not a major issue, although it's urgent. However, when you take a step back and consider the whole globe and the likelihood that others would do the same, you realize how little your urge to litter is in contrast to the welfare of the entire planet. As previously stated, the Stoics believe that all things are interrelated and that your own well-being is enhanced by the state of the world. Therefore, when faced with a decision, difficulty, issue, or change in life, it is crucial to stand back and consider the world as a whole rather than simply your own existence. You might pose some inquiries to yourself internally. This might happen now or later, maybe while you're reflecting on your day, whether it's while taking a stroll or writing in a journal, something Aurelius loved to do in particular. The most frequent questions you ask oneself are, what may my decision or action's long-term implications be? How might my view of things be different from someone else's? Do I know somebody who may be able to assist who is in a similar circumstance or who shares my goals? Does the decision or action I do impact my well-being? Does it impact the health of those in my immediate vicinity? Exist any options that I haven't yet thought of? You benefit from taking the time to think about everything because it makes it easier for you to comprehend your decisions, behaviors, and ideas. Additionally, it benefits you personally by enabling you to benefit the world. Taking the whole picture into account gives you an overview perspective that releases you from unwarranted prejudice, skepticism, or constraint. If you like this video, please remember to subscribe for more videos that will use old philosophical knowledge to help you discover success and happiness. You can also check out our playlist and join the channel if you are able to. I really appreciate you viewing. Continue to be with the Creator.